So how much more batshit is this show going to get? Hey everyone, welcome to Prince of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with episode 9 of Revolutionary Girl Utena. So, yeah. Last episode was like super insane and weird and crazy, and I kind of posed the question, it's like, is this what I should just be used to with this show? Is this the kind of tone that this is just going to be innately going for? Because it's like, this is not how the series like was, how it started and how most of it has been. It's like there's been like 2 episodes now that have had this like wacky, goofy, comedic tone, and it's just, and not to mention some of the stuff feeling completely out of place, like a body swap even happening in this world, just didn't seem like believable to me. But I want to say it's like, if this is how it's supposed to be, if this is just like the tone the entire series is going to go for, I just wanted to be prepared for that. Haven't quite got my answer yet. The only thing that I was informed of in the comments for last week's episode was that this series deals heavily with abuse, and that the incest and sexual violence stuff and things like that are unavoidable, that it's part of the series, and that it is portrayed as being, like negative and harmful, and it's portrayed as being a bad thing, and you're not supposed to like it or agree with it and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, I can get that. Don to Don does the same thing. Various other shows have done the same thing. Sure, I can get behind that. I'm just wondering about the batshit insane tone that it sometimes goes with. Most notably, last episode and then episode 6. It's just, again, when I went into this show originally, and even coming back into it, that's not the tone I expected with this. I know it's like 30 something episodes long or whatnot. I know some of that might be a little bit of padding. Some of it might be basically equivalent to, what's it called? Filler? But at the same time, I feel like it's so off-putting. It feels so out of place to have that kind of humor, that kind of goofiness, that kind of ridiculousness in a series that feels like it's mostly serious. Like, I'm not saying it can't have comedy or anything at all, because most shows require a little levity here and there in order to break up a lot of tense moments. It's almost a necessity. But it depends on how it's handled. It's like practically this series is going from a more serious romantic drama to suddenly being a gag manga, to suddenly becoming Nietzsche Joe. And you can't really do that, because it's just so distracting, because those two things don't mesh well together. They don't work when you try to combine them into one series. And that's my biggest worry going forward with this. I'm really worried that this series is going to try to do that too often, and it's going to be very tonally, like, destructive towards the overall quality of it, in my opinion, of course. It's all subjective. Different people have different tolerances for stuff like that. I'm just explaining mine. I feel like when I watch a series, the tone has to be somewhat consistent. Like, you can have comedy, you can have moments of levity and everything. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood does this excellently. It's a very, very serious series that touches on a lot of heavy as fuck topics, but it does have comedy in it. There are moments where it gets really goofy. The characters like go almost chibi-like in their visual presentation. but it never takes it too far. It never is to the point where it distracts from the regular tone of the show. Because the regular tone, while being extremely serious, blends it in well. It feels like it feels more integrated than this. And I know different time periods and everything between when these came out, different kind of like focuses in anime being made, manga being written, and on top of that, just in general, audiences were watching and reading for different things. So the content being made for those audiences are going to be different. I understand that. But it's like that also means that different people are going to want different things. It's not going to be consistent all the way across the board. So what's like really amazing for one person's not going to be as much so for another. That's how humanity works. And for me, I like consistent tones, or if it's going to kind of blend comedy with more serious stuff in it, I feel like it has to mesh it in a more natural way. Uh, so we'll see how this continues to go. Like I said, when we start this back up, I'm going to give it a very fair shake. I want to make sure that I give this its proper chance and really, really try. If it ends up being too much for me and I don't end up liking it, at least I'll have given it that shot. But maybe that won't be often. Maybe those tone issues will be far enough between that I can handle them. That's my only worry going into this. Because otherwise, there's a lot I enjoy about the series. Like, I'm fine with, like, the little monkey thing, for example. Anthony's little monkey friend pet thing. I'm fine with that. Because that's, like, it's a pet, basically. It's goofy, it's silly, but that's a kind of more comedic, levity-based thing that I can enjoy with this series. But with, like, whatever was going on last time with trying to find the damn curry mix, it's like that was like fucking stupid. It was so out of place. And it's and mind you, I mean, like, yeah, seeing her get her comeuppance and everything after the bullshit she's pulled, that's great. I'm all for that, but still, the tone was a big issue there. But we're gonna check out this episode, see what happens, and hope for the best. So let's give it a shot. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about the gaming stuff on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West every Monday and Friday. Tuesdays and Thursdays is Life is Strange Double Exposure. Wednesdays and Sundays is Beyond Two Souls. And Saturdays we have Near Automata. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get to today's video. I do redirect everything just due to copyright reasons. And please, subscribe to the channel and like this video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. But thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. Let's get to today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. This is what I'm talking about with the tone issues. Because this episode was excessively serious, excessively intense, and extremely focused on the main plot of everything. But it comes literally one episode after the crazy bullshit that happened before. And it's just, it feels so jarring to have that happen. And I want to make clear, this is the kind of episode I expect with this show. This is the kind of episode I want with this show. But when you have episodes that, like, predecess it, probably not the right word, but um, when you have episodes that come right before that, like what happened here, that are just so jarringly off with the tone and everything else of this series, it feels extremely jarring. And the thing is, I guess this is a two-parter, maybe. So maybe the next episode will be like this. But it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just like, I'm getting like whiplash here from the tone changes. And on top of that, it's like, maybe I'm just forgetting stuff from like the first few episodes, but the stuff with the castle and everything, and Sayanji trying to achieve eternity, it's like, what the fuck is he talking about? Am I just forgetting something? Like, I know the entire thing about, like, dueling for the Rose Bride and all of that, but what is this eternity stuff with the castle? Has the castle even been mentioned before? I don't even, because I don't remember it if it has. It's just like, and then you have this backstory where it's like Utena, as a kid, lost her parents and was found in the coffin uh, by these two assholes. And it's like, it's trying to clearly play with the idea that he is the prince that she met, but we know that's not the case for multiple reasons. Because we have a little bit of a glimpse at what the prince looks like, even just in the ending. Honestly, the prince looks like Anthony. um, but it's like, they're playing with this idea, and he's even like seemingly trying to manipulate her into thinking that because they met once, basically. Though she doesn't seem to, from what I can tell, remember that. And Sai Sayanji seems to remember that that's her, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that. He definitely, Taiga, or whatever the fuck his name was, red haired bastard, he clearly knows. Because he's trying to manipulate Utena with it. And, like, by the way, when he grabbed her like that on the roof and everything, it's like every bit of, like fight or flight response inside me just, like, went feral. I was just like I was like on the verge of like getting really aggressive there. Like I held myself back. Like I mentioned, like, don't touch her again. Like I was getting very defensive. I guess you could say my mama bear instincts were coming out a little bit. Um, I got really upset there. I don't know if that was just like with anything with me in terms of emotions. I don't know if that was clear in my expression or in my reaction to that, but I was extremely defensive and extremely like pissed at him when he did that. Um, that really bothered me. And just this entire episode, like, dude was being an absolute fucking creepazoid. Like, Sayanji is at least more direct with how fucking terrible he is. This dude is, like, trying to be smooth and suave about it. And it's just, it's fucking gross. It's really fucking gross. I mean, both of them are really fucking gross. Um, I mean, hence why I was kind of rooting for Sayanji to be killed here. Couldn't get that lucky, unfortunately. Um, I guess at least he's getting expelled. There's you know, some joy to take in that, but God, I wish he had just died. I don't want to see him in any more of this series. I really don't. Either of them, to be fair, but I mean, you can't get that lucky. It's just seeing like him hit Anthe like that hard with that much force. And I know it's not like the first time he's hit her and everything, but seeing him do that just like it makes my blood boil. And again, I know like with what was said in the comments from last episode, I understand that that's the kind of emotion you're supposed to have. You're supposed to be disgusted by it. You're not supposed to like the abuse because it's abuse. If you like abuse, you're fucked up beyond reason. Yeah, I understand that. It's still hard to watch. It still makes me extremely angry. It still is going to bother me. And I'm still going to vocalize that it bothers me. It's just it's something that really gets to me on a very deep level. But like I was saying, the tone for this episode is what I expected with this show. Not the goofy wackiness, not the ridiculous stupidity. Like even again with the little monkey dude, I don't know what the thing's name is. Fighting with the frog in this episode because the frog ate the pill bug it was playing with. I'm fine with that because that's not ridiculous and out of place. It's a cute little monkey. It's a cute little animal creature. I expect the goofy silliness from that. Not whatever last episode was. That's fine. But it's like, I just don't want to see that from like the human characters, basically. And especially to the degree that they've done it. Not to mention the weirder elements that just feel entirely out of place, like the body swap thing. Like I said, it's just like this is not the kind of show that a body swap works in. But yeah, it's like you're gonna have to remind me if I am just forgetting something with the castle and everything, because I'm like watching this and it's like, what are you fucking talking about? What is, huh? What does any of that mean? Oh. And apparently the castle didn't come down. It was like an illusion or some shit. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I was just very lost in this episode. But again, the tone was what I want this series to be. I was also saying in the reaction that this is a series that I feel like would benefit from the remake treatment. You notice there's a lot of anime that are getting remakes nowadays, including other romantic series like Fruits Basket. This is a series that I think would really value a remake. And I think part of it seems to be like kind of one of the big issues I was talking about with the tones and a lot of the goofy stuff seeming like filler. I feel like a remake could cut that out and focus on the important stuff, and honestly could probably cut out quite a few episodes with that too. Not to mention there were some points even in this episode that felt like with the kendo thing, like all the kendo sticks and the broom and stuff falling against it and it just dragging on and on. It's like you could also probably cut down on some of that stuff. It's like I made the joke in the reaction, but seriously, is this what people think One Piece's pacing is like? Because it's not. I'm not going to get into that entire argument and everything here, but um, is that what people like are experiencing when they talk about like One Piece just dragging on at points and all? Because God, that dragged. God, that was so like needlessly and unjustifiably elongated. It's just like, get on with it already. I think that's a Monty Python sketch. Just like, get on with it already. Stop with all the build up to something that was like a second long. It's like, oh, all this build up, and then it's like, oh, one hit between them, and it's just like, you built it up that much for that little. Like, fuck off with that shit. It's like these are two characters I also couldn't really care less about. I want to see them die. It's like you're building up a fight between them. I get that they're rivals. I get that they don't like each other. But Jesus, I didn't care about that. Also, some of the stuff they do, some of the choices they make in terms of like design and like aesthetic and everything also feels weird. Like, we know that was Utena in the flashback. It's so blatantly obvious. Why is her face shadowed? Like, I'm a big proponent of stylism. I talk about this especially like with video games all the time, where stylism is more important than like realistic graphics and whatnot. But stylism needs to work within context. And let me give you an example. Ruby. The internet series Ruby had this stylistic choice in the first volume or two where background characters were just shadows. Background characters who weren't important were just shadows. They had no definition to them, no details. A lot of them were basically just shadows of like actual characters too. They even made fun of this in Ruby Chibi. But they stopped doing that because it was very jarring. It was off-putting. It also just looked really fucking weird. And they started actually having character models for background characters. Even if there were repetitious ones, there were actual models. It looked better in every way. The stylistic choice there, while stylism is good, not every choice for stylism is good. The stylistic choice there was detrimental to immersion. It hurt the overall vibe of the series. Comparatively, with Utena here, having Utena's face shadowed in the flashback served no purpose. It was pointless. It's not like showing a flashback of Utena where the prince's face is shadowed and everything. That makes sense. That is narratively logical. But Utena's face had no reason to be shadowed because her hair wasn't. If you had her hair shadowed too, then we could talk. But having her hair completely, like, blatantly in the open, it made it very clear who it was, because it's literally Utena's hair, down to, like, the style and everything. You couldn't interpret it any other way. And unless you're trying to tell me that's not Utena, and it's trying to make us think it is, but no, because Toga basically acknowledged, without directly saying it, that it was Utena with his manipulation of her in this episode. He was trying to manipulate her just like he did when he was younger. And it's just like, oh my fucking god. It's like that it's just a stylistic decision that just does not work. It makes no sense, and it's weird to me, you know? I know that might not be like a big issue or an issue at all for a lot of people, but that kind of stuff, like, is an issue for me. I take like the visuals of a series seriously in how it presents itself with the content within. I'm fine if it doesn't like visually look the best, because let's be honest, this series, like the art and animation quality is not the best. But I understand that it's an older series, so that's fine. I'm good with that. But that's different than, bad stylistic choices. It's a different thing altogether. It made no sense to shadow her face there. Like, if you at least shadow Toga and Saionji's faces too, then you could, like, maybe make an argument for that. Because it's like, oh, everybody's shadowed. Like, shadowing the faces of those random people who were looking for Utena, the guy who, like, asked Toga and Saionji about it, that I can see. That makes sense, because that character is not super relevant. It's just a random character who is, basically leading them into the more important part. That's fine. That I'm good with. But Utena's face should not have been shadowed. It's just... There's some weird issues that this series has, and I think a lot of them do come down to the age of the show. The fact that this is as old as it is, I think is part of the reason. But not all older shows are like this. Not all older shows have issues like this. So it's like, it's even still questionable in that regard. And, I mean, mind you, no show is perfect, and every show has some issues to some degree. But it's a person-by-person thing as to whether it bothers you or how much it bothers you, etc. And it's not like it's something I can help. It bothers me. It just does. It's not something I'm controlling, not something I'm choosing. I just hope that this series continues to be more like this in terms of tone, fixes some of these stylistic issues, and really starts to get, like, down with the overall vibes and feeling and story of this all. Because there's a lot of things in this that I feel like really could be cut out. There's a lot of things that I feel like really could be cut down on, and a lot of things I just feel could be done better. But we'll see. We'll see how it continues to go. Like I said, giving this a fair shot. I want to be as fair with this as I can. We're going to continue moving along and seeing how this goes. So, in the meantime, tell me in the comments below what you thought of this. As always, no spoilers. For now, though, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.